5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you set 4 KT versus SKT1. SKT1 up 2-1. In this game on Aztec, we have So playing as the purple Zerg for SKT at 9 o'clock, and we have Stats as the white Protoss at the 12 o'clock. So is a specialist against Protoss apparently. He's 65%. So that must be why they sent him out on this map to deal with Stats, who is a very solid player overall for KT. So let's see how this match goes. I think So will be able to put up a fair fight here against Stats. I don't know what exactly his 65% is actually, who he's beaten, rather. Maybe he's just beaten rather poor Protoss players. That's why he has 65% win rate. May not necessarily be indicative of much. Aztec is a 3-player map, So is scouting in the wrong direction with his initial Overlord, but it's not going to bother him. It looks like he is probably going for a 12 hatch, I would imagine. And Stats has sent out his scouting probe in the correct direction. He's going to know what So is going for. Actually, no, Overpool. Just to say that. For So he perhaps wants to try to put on a bit of early pressure, or maybe get some tech faster. Here we see Stats picking away at some of those building SCVs, and those girls did not even try to hide their faces. This is a big matchup here. KT versus SKT, always epic. So maybe they were too distracted, I don't know. Or maybe those girls just didn't want to hide their faces, who knows? It's a mystery. Forge and then Cannon for Stats, as is the correct response. This probe picking away at the drone. Do not die, drone! That drone at 4 HP, that drone is almost dead. Let's see whether So has good enough micro to save it. He's gonna be able to run the drone out probably to get the third base. And now Stats, this probe still has most of its health. Still, Stats did not want to risk it too much. Stats putting down the Nexus first. Seems a little risky, but he predicted correctly, apparently. The Zerglings are just coming out now. I mean, I think Stats was fine as long as he had the probe there to check things out. It's not too dangerous. He didn't have a probe and just blindly... Well, it wouldn't even be a 12 Nexus. You wouldn't really do that without a scout anyway. You either go for the all-in 12 Nexus, or you don't, and play it safe. Very important to get a scout, and it looks like So is going to put down his third base rather safely here. So, unfortunately, So's name is So it can get kind of confusing. Well, I don't know why he picked this name. It's S-O-O, so maybe it's Sue? That doesn't sound as nice as So. I'm gonna call him So regardless. Looks like the Nexus is finished now for Stats. He is going to be able to start mining from there. Nothing unusual coming from either player. Layer going down here for So. The scouting probe still sort of running about a little bit. It's not really trying to stay in the base. It's more hovering around outside the base, trying to take another peek in now. But I think what it really wants to do is gain the main. Okay, there we go. That probe is getting the main. Just take a look at what's going on. Sees the lair. Always good information to have. At the same time, only one Zergling is tasked to chase this probe around. The second Zergling is sort of scouting around in front of the natural for the natural of Stats. And now that Zergling is being chased away by an initial Zealot. Perhaps the Zealot will try to do some economic damage, but usually I think it would be, there's not much point, because Zerg player can always respawn with a few more Zerglings to deal with it. The Scouting Probe, though, still alive, still doing well. I think So really needs to kill the Scouting Probe, unless there's some clever reason why not. Cybernetics Core spinning, that's probably +1 air, and the Forge. So, Stats is going to focus a bit more on some early ground superiority. The Spire coming out now, so he wants to make sure that Stats does not seize complete control of air. I think that's always smart for Zerg player to kill those Corsairs fast and early. Corsairs, if left unchecked, are extremely dangerous, and there's little reason why the Zerg player should not respawn in some way to deal with it, whether it's Hydras or early Scourge or something. Dragoon out here for Stats. Maybe he's getting range upgrade? Possibly. We'll see soon. I still think is air +1. That is the most likely scenario. So has all his bases mining at this point. He's getting one of these overlords picked away. That's inevitable. The loss of one overlord is expected, maybe even two. So putting down his 4th hatchery, it looks like. So everything is normal here. Nothing unusual coming from either player. This is turning out to be quite the standard game. I do not know how good So's standard game is. Hopefully he will be more than a match for Stats. Some Scourge coming out to deal with the Corsairs, finally. Very important to have those Scourge. They're going to get spotted, possibly. Well, one Scourge is going to get spotted, the other heading to the main to scout around a little bit. Always wise. Using Scourge to take a look inside Protoss space. That's one sort of weakness Zerg can have, is in terms of scouting information. They don't have convenient unit like the Observer or the Terran Scan. They do have Overlords, but not quite as useful in scouting. I do not think that Dragoon has range. It seems to be a bit too close to the hatchery. Or at least it looks to me like that. Spore Colony going down. A lot of Zerg players have been doing that just to ensure themselves against Dark Templar. That's spelled with an I, by the way, for those people who can't spell. I'm sure viewers can spell correctly, but it is still easy to make mistakes. Some more Zerglings coming out. They might be trying to attack these Zealots. Speed is finished. I don't know whether the Zealots have +1. If they have +1, they'll mop up the Zerglings. They do not have +1, and these Zerglings are mopping up the Zealots. Now the +1 finish, just in time to deal with them. So that's actually a reasonably good attack by So, catching the Zealots in a bit of a timing attack there. Just weakening them. These Corsairs have +1 air upgrade. I was correct about that. And the Corsairs starting to kill some Overlords. Stats pushing with more Zealots. Zealots with +1 versus Zerglings without +1. The Zealots win. One Corsair goes down. Still not too bad of a loss there. Now, range for Dragoons is getting upgraded. There's a heavier Dragoon emphasis coming out here for Stats, interestingly enough. I think Stats needs to get some more Zealots. There are a lot of Zerglings coming out for So, and Zerglings great against Dragoons, at least a low number of Dragoons. Not so great against +1 speed lots, of course. These Zerglings are picking away, killing one Dragoon without much issue. Going to be able to surround and kill a second Dragoon. So things not looking too good for Stats. Maybe even get a third Dragoon. No, not quite. Stats did not want to lose those two Dragoons. Rather, needlessly so, I have to say. Stats does have a superior air force that he is using to slaughter Overlords nearly at will here. Those Overlords going down very quickly to the powerful +1 upgraded Corsairs. So needs to do a bit more to try to contest the air or defend his Overlords, as I think is very dangerous. He needs to get speed upgrade, because if Stats had gone for some sort of DT dropping in main, So would be screwed at this point. He had absolutely nothing. Those Corsairs, one going down.